Hi everybody, hope you can hear me. Hi everybody, welcome to our second session and thank you for joining in. For those of you who are joining in for the first time today, welcome, and those of you who are joining in for the second time, thank you for coming. Glad to know that I haven't scared you off last time. A couple of things that we are taking off from the last time is I'm going to go a bit slower and hopefully that should allow you to cook along. If not, you can always go back half an hour later onto the IGTV and you can catch up. But today's dish is actually quite simple. Hi Sarah. It's today's, hi Val, today's dish is actually quite simple, and the idea is to give you some techniques about how to make those things rather than just give you a recipe, because the whole point of these sessions are that once we finish and once lockdown is over, you'll retain a little bit of what's happening and you can actually then create the dishes. So I'm going to move this out a little bit so you should be able to see what we've got. I've actually got two cameras today, so I'm going high tech. So the idea is once we look at all the ingredients and the prep, we'll move to the next one and you can see what's cooking. Some of the takeaways from the last session were, as I said, I was going too fast, so I'll hopefully go a bit slower. I also have my glamorous assistant who you probably will be able to hear but not see because he says he hasn't shaved. But he's going to ask questions or he's going to read out your questions and I'll try and answer them as we go through. Everyone said that I didn't smile enough, so I'm hoping to smile enough this time, and I'm actually determined to relax, so I've actually got a glass, so cheers to that. So the whole point of it is to make it as relaxed as possible, and at the end of it you can actually you'll have a dish. So before, what's the time? Is it about 3 minutes past 6 or 5 minutes past 6? Okay, so let's begin. And what I'll do is, let me tell you, the idea is that everybody should have their spice kit. If you don't have a spice kit, don't panic, because there is nothing that we are going to be using in there which you shouldn't have. And the nicest thing about Indian food is you can, it's very forgiving. It's not like French cooking, it's not exact. And literally, if you speak to the generation before us, you put in a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So if you don't have the exact spice mix, just substitute, and we'll talk about that. So you should have your spice kit. The 3 spices that we are going to be using from the spice kit today, I've taken it out. So we have the Bombay potato masala mix, and I'll talk about what's in it. So if you don't have the Bombay potato masala mix, you can actually use some of the spices that you might be having sitting in your spice cupboard. We've got the chili masala, which we used last time, and this is an absolute favorite of mine because we use it for lots and lots and lots of things. So this is a really handy masala to have. It's got chili and it's got fenugreek, and it goes for a variety of things, not necessarily Indian. I mean, I use it in scones, just put it in and you get chili scones, which are absolutely fabulous. And the third masala that we will be using is coriander, which is just normal coriander. So last time, for those who had the session, we said have some cumin and have some coriander powder. And the idea is that in your store cupboard, most people would have cumin and coriander. And again, for people who come on to our cooking sessions, we always tell them that please try and buy whole spices and grind them yourself, because when you buy powdered spices, they just sit there forever and they smell of soap, they smell of absolutely nothing. And by just buying some whole spices, so I'll talk while people are just joining, I'll talk a little bit about my spice kit, and most Indian households have a spice kit. So you have a spice kit like this, our grandmothers, our mothers have it. If you don't want a kit, just have bottles. I mean, we have this in the kitchen and they're a great present. So if you look at what I've got in mind, which are, there's no rocket science to it. I've got some turmeric, I've got some cumin, coriander, garam masala, I've got Indian mixed 5-spice, which we'll talk about. I've got our chili powder, and I've got 2 kinds of chili powder. One's a Kashmiri chili powder and one's the other chili masala that we have, which is mixed with fenugreek. So that's a handy thing to have. Just take this out, use it, Most of these ingredients are actually available in Sainsbury's or a local supermarket. We've also started keeping a few spices because we have people dropping in and say, have you got this, have you got that? So for example, for today's session we had chapati flour, and for the next session we'll have the gram flour and all. So hopefully you've got your spices. Those are the 3 spices we are going to be using for most of our cooking today. We are going to be doing Bombay potatoes. Your potatoes, if for those of you who are using other vegetables, that's absolutely fine. The potatoes are just one thing. I know Susie's joining in and she's decided she's not going to do potatoes, she's actually going to do chicken. So you can very easily substitute the potatoes with chicken. And because if you're like something like our house, where I say I'm going to serve potatoes for dinner, there's going to be yowls of protests because they think unless they've eaten meat, they haven't really eaten. So that's one, you could do this, you could substitute this very easily. So I've got all my ingredients. The idea is I've been very organized this time, so I have the same ingredient sheet that you're cooking off, because last time again somebody said, oh, you're going off piste, you're putting this and you're putting that. But the whole point of these sessions are that if you've got something else, put it. It's not going to make the recipe bad, or it's not going to make it hugely different. But again, with Indian cooking, it's what you make of it. So, if you've got some extra spices, put it in. If you want to substitute something, go ahead and do that. So the idea is you've got your 3 spices by now. You've got your baby potatoes, which should have been boiled, or whatever vegetables, boiled a little bit. If they're not boiled, there's no problem. You can put it into boil, but there's no problem. Just cook them a little bit longer. I've got 35 minutes, so I've boiled them now, so you can actually see that. You've got fresh ginger, which I've got mine here. It's completely chopped up. And the reason I've kept these peels here is that ginger peel, often when I make curry, I don't actually peel the ginger, and people look at me and say, oh, you don't. And there is no need to do that, especially if you're using paste. But if you've got the peels, never, ever, ever throw the peels, because this is absolutely a fabulous ingredient. To just even boil it with water and drink it. It's got all these amazing therapeutic properties. If you've got masala chai that you're having, you can actually just put that in and boil that with the milk, and you've got this wonderful warming spiced ginger, which is great to have in this kind of weather. I've got my lemon. I've got some peas in here, fresh tomatoes, 2 large tomatoes. I've got a little bit extra, but we'll talk about that. Fresh coriander, which I've chopped up. Green chilies, which I don't have, but that's fine as well. Oil or ghee. Now, I always say that when I do Indian cooking, if you're not a vegan, I always use ghee. This is our MK ghee. In fact, yesterday we've changed our bottles, so these are very, very pretty bottles. But the nice thing about using ghee is that it is all... It's got a very high saturating point, so it's a great thing to have. What else do we have? We've got spinach, yogurt, cucumber, mint. That's pretty much it. So the first thing that we're going to actually start off with is not the potatoes. We're going to start with the dough, and we are making a chapati here. So a chapati is different from a naan, and it's different from a paratha. Now, most people think when there's Indian bread, there's only naan bread, and everybody says, oh, can I have naan bread? Now, naans are, you can make them at home, but naan has yeast in it, and naan actually needs a tandoor or an oven. So you could do naan, but chapatis are what most Indians have at home. You can have it for breakfast. People wrap it up and use it as a roll, and it's done with wholemeal flour. It's got no fat in it because you put no oil in it. And I also maintain that making chapatis, you either have chapati making genes or you don't, because I look at some of my friends who've made chapatis all their life, I think, and they can turn out these hanky, soft, wonderful chapatis with no fuss, no mess. Whereas if I try make chapati, there's flour all over the place. But the whole point today is to show you how easy it is, and you could actually make the dough in a food processor or a Thermomix like I use. But today I've thought I'll make it here in front of you, because to prove how easy it is, and it's a really nice thing to have. If you've got any questions coming up, type that in, but I'll show you how to make this dough, because while we first make this dough, and then we'll make it wait there or sit there while we go on with the potatoes. So you're going to look at this. So you should have wholemeal flour, which everybody should have, or chapati flour. We had some in the shop as well. It's just normal rough flour. You don't use fine flour, because again, it's the idea is to have the roughage. And sometimes if you're in India, what you also do is you also put, someone's got a question, how do you make about your chapati soft? Okay, we will talk about how to make your chapati soft. I think my assistant is not reading this question because I've just looked at it. There was a question there saying, how do you make your chapati soft? So how do you make
telling them that that's
okay,
cook.
so how do you make the chapati soft is to use hot water, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So hopefully everybody should have their chapati flour. Reserve a little bit of flour. So what I've done is I've reserved a little bit of the flour here because we need that for rolling because they don't stick. Because unlike when we make parathas, we don't use oil. So keep a little bit aside. And that's my flour. Now you're going to look at my flour and say, why is your flour looking green? Because what I've done is I've asked you all to chop up your spinach or blend it, and this is the time when you add it. What I've done with my flour is I've literally taken the fresh spinach. And how much flour? So I've got about 450 grams of flour in there, which is about a pound of flour, and I've kept that away. And the nice thing is, if you've got dough left over, you can use it. If you don't have chapati flour, can you use a mix of wholemeal, plain or rice flour? You can use wholemeal flour. Don't put rice flour into it, please, because it will make your chapati. So use wholemeal. You can use plain. It will just make it softer, but that's absolutely fine. You can use wholemeal flour, no problem at all. It's got to be sort of rough flour that you're using.
Coarse.
A coarse flour. So I've got, my thing is looking green because I've literally taken the spinach, I've put the flour into it, and I've just whisked the whole thing up. Now, you can do the same. So as long as hopefully everybody's now got their flour in front of them. If you've chopped your spinach, put the spinach in there, and this is what you start off with. Now, how do you make your chapati soft? Now, the thing that I find, as I said, my chapati skills are terrible. So the way I make my chapati soft is I use hot water. Usually keep a kettle boiling. Don't have to use very, very hot, like not boiling, but really hot water, because what happens, the steam softens it. That's the first thing. And it's the dough which makes the chapati, it's getting the dough consistency correct. Now, normally I would have shoved this into a food processor and got it right. And someone's going to say how much flour, how much water. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question because it's estimation. You've got to do it by eye, but don't start off with a whole lot of water and turn a puddle, okay? So what you do is you've got this, and hopefully you can see that, and I'm going to start putting some water into it. So I've put about half a cup of water. It's boiling water which I've got in here, and just mix it up first. So just try and bring it together. You can put some salt if you want. You can also put some spices if you want, but we just start off with basic. And the idea is just try and bring it all up together. And I'm going to put a little bit more. So all of you try doing that, but just make sure that you don't have, especially if you've got no more flour left over, so don't put a whole lot of water. And I'm going to try and now get my hands in there. So let's put this here. Get your hands in. That's the only way to get your chapati, and then try and bring it all together. So that's what I'm doing. So the middle bit will be sticky, but then try bringing in the flour. It's a bit like pasta, but try bringing in the flour and getting it. And the hot water actually really helps because it will help making your thing quite soft. So first bit is a little messy, but because there's flour all over. But the idea is if you can bring it all together, you've got a softish dough, and the hot water really, really helps because that's how. So never make your chapati flour very, very hard or very soft. You don't want a sticky dough, and you need to knead it to release the gluten. So you're going to get nice soft dough, right? Or nice soft chapatis. Lots of people put oil into it. Traditionally, you don't put oil in it. Just go at it. And the spinach is lovely because it's giving you a green thing, but you can use anything else. You can use leftover. I once did a recipe where I just used leftover curry. So you can use leftover dal. That's very healthy because you're almost putting protein into it. You can use beetroot. You can use any kind of vegetables that you grated kind of soft kind of thing which has got moisture. Zucchini, I suppose. Though zucchini, according to me, has got no taste, so that's it's no use putting that. So you can see I'm doing my flour, and hope all of you are kneading it as well. You've got to use the palm of your hand to actually stretch it out like you're doing and work the gluten in. Now this, I brought it together, but it's a bit hard, so I'm just going to add a little bit more hot water. Very, very little. This is when you've got to be careful, because if you put too much into it, what's going to happen is it's going to get sticky, and you really don't want to.
Overwork the dough?
Can you? No, actually, it doesn't make a difference. There is no such thing as overworking the dough. It's not delicate. It's not a scone. It's nothing. So if you see some of the Indian farm ladies who make things, there is you can't really overwork it. It's fine. But get the gluten going in it. And get it all together. So you can see mine's all come together. My dish is actually quite clean. And just go at it for a little bit longer, especially if it's feeling a bit sticky. So I'm using the palm of my hand and I'm getting it. Normally, as I said, you can do it in a food processor. You can eyeball it till it all comes together. So that's it. So yeah, but the thing is, do not use too much water to start with, because you're going to end up with these horrible sticky kind of dough. And because, as I said, using hot water, it will release a little bit of steam and it will soften it. So that's the dough done. We will leave this to rest in a bit. But the most important thing with this dough is it's got to be soft and it's got to be stretchy. You can't have, when I press it, you can see it's almost like Play-Doh. So it's not sticky, so it's not sticking to my hand. My hands have now got wet. So it's not sticking to my hand, but so you can see my palms are all quite clean when I'm rolling it. But it's actually quite very malleable. It's not taking a lot of strength for me to actually roll this. So I've done that, and what we will do now is, if everybody's dough is done, if you're now sometimes you can do more dough, and what you can do is you can wrap it up and shove it in the fridge, but the next day if you're going to use it, make sure it comes down to room temperature, because if it's hard, you're going to end up with hard chapati. So that's it, that's your dough done. And once you've done that, just cover that up. So I'm just going to cover that with a wet cloth, or cover that up with a dish. So I'm just going to cover that up, and I'm putting that on the side to leave that for it to slowly just work itself. Not prove, there's no yeast in it, there's no proving or anything. It's just to leave it to rest a little bit. So we leave that to rest. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to rinse my hands and I'll be back in a minute. Right. So we've now got our chapati dough is ready. And the next thing which we are now going to do is obviously the potatoes. Now, as I said, this potato dish that we do, it's quite easy to do. Please carry on. Okay, she's getting me to do it. Okay, Simon says something. Okay, so the idea is the potato dish. As I said, in my house, if I do chapatis and potatoes, there's going to be huge yells of protest. But it's a great dish to do. It's really, really easy, and you could do this with chicken or anything else. So we're going to now start on the potatoes. Everybody should have their potatoes ready, and I'm going to switch. As I said, I'm becoming quite fancy, and I'm going to switch this to the second camera, and hopefully that should now focus on this. Don't look at the mess behind. Okay, can everybody see the pan clearly?
I think you need to move the camera.
Yeah, is that okay?
Check my camera.
Yes, that's fine. I've taken the lid off. So if you have a look and you can see, that's good. So that's the pan there ready. I'm using a heavy bottom normal pan for the potatoes. So we put the hob on, and hopefully everybody's got their hob on. Pan's gone on, medium heat, and the oil has to go in. So if you're using vegetable oil, use vegetable oil. As I said, I like using ghee, so I've got ghee in it. And again, there's no how little or how much you want to use. Again, you've got to eyeball it, but let me find a tablespoon so that those of you who are, who say, oh, she hasn't told me how much. So this is 1 tablespoon, yeah? So let me put in, I'm cooking for about 4 people. So I'm putting in 1.5 tablespoons of ghee, whatever's in this. So we've just put it. Now ghee normally is solid at room temperature. When you put it in to oil, it melts, and the good thing, as I said, it doesn't turn into saturated fat. Gives a lovely nutty flavor. So that's your ghee being heated, and I'll see if I can scrape out this little bit as well. So that takes it about 2 tablespoons, I'd say. So that's your ghee being heated. And then the first thing which we are going to do now is we are going to be putting the spices. So this is a very simple dish. It doesn't have very many spices. So hopefully you've got your Bombay potato mix in front of you. So take out your Bombay potato mix. Now this mix that we do is got a mix. It's got whole spices. So it's got Indian 5 spices in it. So it's got the 5 spices are nigella seeds, cumin seeds, fenugreek, which is slightly bitter. It's got fennel, which has got a lovely sweet flavor, and the 5th one is mustard. We've also got dried curry leaves in it, and we've got turmeric. And again, you can do this for chicken. You can do it with a lot of anything pretty much for a stir fry. So you've got that in, and I'm now putting my potatoes. I've got about 3/4 of a packet of baby potatoes. So that's what I'm going to be cooking with. And again, this is very much an estimation. So let me take the spices and take it from the bottom, guys, so you can get a mixture of the whole. So this is a 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm putting literally 1.5 teaspoon of the spices in this. And once that goes in, you can hear the spices splutter. In fact, what I'm going to do is, actually that's pretty much enough. And you'll see how little spices we use. If you want it really strong, you can put more. In fact, you know what? I'll put another 1/2 teaspoon. So that makes it 2 teaspoons. Yeah? So that's 2 teaspoons. That's it. Because I've got quite a lot of potatoes. Put that in and let the thing just splutter. Once your spices flutter, it's literally a question of minutes. The most important thing at this point is not to burn your spices, which is why a heavy bottom pan is a great investment. Everybody should have their ginger. They should have their ginger chopped up, and I've got very finely chopped ginger here. Hopefully you can see this. I think this light is reflecting a bit. That's your ginger. Let me find a teaspoon. And what I'll do is, again, you can use paste, but I liked, you want little bits of ginger in it. So that's a good teaspoon and a bit of ginger that goes in. And fry the ginger. I'm reducing the heat. This is when you've got to make sure nothing burns, okay? That's the key thing. And then you should have coriander powder. I've got my coriander powder here. And what we are going to do is we're going to put, I love coriander powder. I'm going to put like 1 heaped teaspoon of coriander powder. So this was half, so I put 2 heaped 1/2 teaspoons, if that makes sense. I like cumin as well, but sometimes I think I treat cumin like a stepchild because I absolutely love ground coriander. So you put that, it's got that lovely nutty sweetness. As I said, be careful not to burn your spices, and if you once that's done, it pretty much instant. You've got your tomatoes, people. Keep a little bit of the tomato for the raita. Just reserve about a tablespoon of it, but the rest of the tomato just now put in. And what this tomato will do is it's adding moisture, like our last session. It's adding moisture, and what it's doing is preventing the spices from burning. I hope you can hear me. I'm preventing the spices from burning. Now, as I said, this is a very easy dish. So while the tomatoes are sort of whole, you don't wait for it to become mush. Put your tomatoes in, give it a stir, and then take your potatoes, people, and put potatoes in there. So I've put my bowl of potatoes, or whatever vegetable you've got. If you've got chicken, put it in. Now the main thing to do at this point is my heat is still reasonably high, and I've got a very heavy bottom pan. So there's a lot of heat in there. Sorry. The main thing to do for this is to make sure your spices are beautifully coated. Yeah. So if you now, and it's on high flame because you want the outside to be slightly crispy. So give that a good stir. If you've got chilies, put chili, but we've also got the chili masala. And as I said last time, this is a very, very potent masala. So take almost a 1/4 teaspoon of it. I'm not giving you, I just put that in. You can put fresh green chilies, but this gives a lovely flavor.
If you want to spice it up and put some more.
Sorry? Yeah, those who wanted more, you can add more. But you can see it's all coming together. Now my potatoes were cooked. If your potatoes are not cooked, this is the time to add some water to it. Once you've got it nicely, sort of nice and brown, but you can see the potatoes are pretty much done. My potatoes are soft, and that's taken literally 5 minutes.
What did you just add with the question?
I just added a little bit of the chili masala that we have in our spice kit. If not, you can just add normal Kashmiri or normal chili that you have. I added this from the kit. So up till now, we've added the Bombay potato mix, we've added coriander powder, and we've added the chili powder. For those of you who don't have that, you can add mustard seeds, you can just add any. The idea is just to, and you can see how lovely this is looking. Now, there you have a couple of options now. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully all of you should have peas. Put the peas in. If you wanted to put spinach, you could put spinach. But you can see I've just put the peas in. And now you have a couple of options, guys. Put some salt. And I'll talk to you about the options that we have in a minute. So I'm going to put a little bit of salt in there. And we can always taste it. Now you have a couple of options. One option is you can leave it dry. Now I'm going to leave it dry because our family quite like it nice and dry, so we're going to have this. But if you wanted it liquidy, you could very easily put some water into it. In fact, I'll just put a little bit to show you. You could put a little bit of water into it and just let it cook and simmer, and you've got a gravy. You also have the option to put in some yogurt if you wanted. But the other really nice thing with this potato dish is, I'm going to leave this on to cover for a minute. Let's put a cover on. So if you've got it all to this stage, let it cover. But the really nice thing about this dish is you can do a whole lot of stuff with it. Let me change this so we go to the other one. You can do a whole lot of stuff with it, and that is, tomorrow you can use this and put some sour cream on it, and you can actually turn it into a spiced potato salad. My potatoes are simmering on low heat. Hopefully that's what's happening to you. Turn the heat down and put the cover and let it simmer. Now you can turn that into a spiced potato cold salad. Add sour cream or something that's really good on a summer's day for a picnic. You can turn that into a wrap and you can have that, or you can put it into toasties and have it like a toasted sandwich. Put some chutney on it. It's a fabulous dish to have in the fridge. Yeah. So that's now cooking. Now we're going to get to the chapatis. Now what I'm going to do with the chapatis, people, is I'm going to make one to show you how your chapatis should be made, and then we'll go on to the raita. But then once the session finishes, you will need to start making your chapatis for your dinner. Yeah. And again, chapatis are best eaten fresh, which is not very nice for the person who's doing it. But if you can do all the chapatis, you can wrap it up in a tea towel and keep it, but have it pretty much within the next 10-15 minutes, because I just put some butter. It's fabulous. It sets off anything. Even chapatis with butter. When we were little, we put sugar in it, or you just put some melting butter on it, or ghee, or just we would, as I said, my mother would put cream and sugar in it. So you could have it with anything. It's an absolute treat. So fresh chapatis are a delight. So we're going to make one chapati. I'll show you the technique for making the chapati. And then we'll make the raita, and then you carry on with the rest of the chapatis. So 1 second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the potatoes onto the second hob that I've got. Now the secret to making chapati is to have a heavy bottom pan. So you can see I have a cast iron pan. You can use any heavy bottom pan. Now there are a few things. So there are 2 stages to making a chapati. If you don't have an open flame, it's not the end of the world, so don't panic. I like using an open flame, and I do it in 2 stages simply because I'm such a terrible chapati maker. So the first stage of the chapati is that you brown it on the pan, and the next stage is I put it on an open flame, and what I use is I use something like a wire rack. You don't have to use a wire rack. You can even just put it on a pair of tongs. You can even put it direct on the hob. So I'll show you 2 ways of what we use. But even if your chapatis are done properly and you just leave it on the frying pan, they will puff up. So I'm just impatient and I do it the old-fashioned way. But don't panic if you say, oh my God, I don't have a hob, I don't have anything. But the secret to it is, the first stage of cooking the chapati needs to be on a slightly hotter flame, because if you do it on the hotter flame, you need to get spots on it, but it cooks. If you leave it too long, it almost becomes like a papadum. Yes, it becomes like a papad. It becomes like crisp, and you're not looking to do a crisp flat bread. You're looking like something which is soft inside, cooked,
Jack
and
wants
it's
to know if you can do it in an aga.
Yes, Jack, you can. It will do very well on an aga. So what you need to do is, you're such a Surrey lady. So what you need to do is, yes, I grew up in a house with aga, no problem. Just make sure that you've got your, the hot one has got your pan on it, and I'll show you how you transfer between the two. So, right, everybody's got their dough. So your potatoes are now on low and they're cooking covered. Your pan, I won't be able to move, I'm putting this on the hob, and I'm just leaving that to warm up. So put your pan on the hob, make sure it's reached, don't make it burn, but make sure you have it on a low heat, and just get it, sort of warmed up. Take your dough, look, and by now you should be absolutely soft. Yes. As I said, because I am such a terrible chapati maker, there are a few things that I do. I have some flour in here, which is ready, kept here. Everybody's got a rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, use a bottle. I use my very pink silicone rolling pin, which my mom gave me, which people would laugh at, because normally in India you have a wooden rolling pin. What I like about this rolling pin is, this is not an excuse for you to go and buy a rolling pin, but is that it actually swings by itself. So when I roll it, this thing is moving itself, so it makes it easier for me. But again, that's no big deterrent. You've got your chapati, take your dough and turn it. You'll see it's got to be soft. If it's not soft, add a little bit of hot water and work it out. It's got to be soft. I can't emphasize that enough. Yeah. So you've got one, and it's about a little bit smaller than a golf ball. I've taken that bit and first turn it into, use pressure with the palm of your hands. And what you're doing is, I'm not just rolling it like that, I'm using some pressure like that. And what it's doing is, it's also kneading it a little bit, and turn it into a nice ball. Make sure that there are no cracks outside, or as little cracks as possible. And that's when you put pressure and you roll it like that.
Did you speak about the coarse flour?
Yes, I did speak about the coarse flour. I said, yes, you've got to use wholemeal flour. You can use soft white flour, there's no problem as well.
To dip the dough in.
Yeah, I've got some chapati flour here. So you can see I've got this now. It's quite soft. And then what I do is, I try and use the palm of my hand and press it so that I can hopefully get a circle at the end of it, so it doesn't become like the map of a country. So have that, and then what you do is just lightly, not very much, you don't need flour, it's just lightly dip it in this flour. Put it on your, if you've got a granite counter, I'm using a rolling pin because this is a demo table, and I think my Mr. OCD husband will have a heart attack if I roll it on this. So I've got a marble rolling pin, but you can use granite, you can use your countertop, just make sure it's dry and clean and there are no chemicals in it. And then what I do is, just so that it's easier, I just use my hands and I try and press it a little bit. Now you can make, when you're ready to make the whole lot, make these golf ball circles and keep them ready. So you've got your 10 chapatis or 12 chapatis, it's to make it quicker. Yeah? And then I'm using my hands and I'm pressing it and I'm using up the flour which is on it. So I've almost taken it to about a 3 centimeter circle, because I know I can reasonably get a circle. So that's it. Then get the rolling pin. And don't use all your force. But the way to get circular chapatis, this is a lady once showed me, is go 1, 2, 3 rolls and give it a 90, turn it 90 degrees. And that way you're ensuring it's not sticking, because you're constantly moving it. And then go 1, 2, 3, and then give it another. So keep on giving it 90 degrees and 3 rolls and pressing it down, because that way you can make sure that if it's not turning into a circle like mine isn't, it's close to it, and then you know exactly where to roll, so you can make sure. And if it's sticking at any point, just sprinkle some flour on it. And now I'm going one direction.
Sylvia wants to ask a question.
Yeah, Sylvia can ask a question. Sylvia, ask a question. 3 inches, not centimeters. Yes, you're correct, Sylvia. So that's the first bit, but again, don't get too, the idea is to get it into a disc. Yeah, and you can see I've now got my chapati. It's sort of not completely circle, but it's reasonably there, and I'm just going to make sure that it's all evenly rolled, so one side is not thicker than the other. And you can see this is beautifully, it's green, it's beautifully flecked, so it's a little thinner than a pancake. It's, I don't know, it's probably 1 or 2 millimeters thick. It's got the lovely spinach. So it's got the spinach. So it's beautifully flecked, and it's very healthy because it's you're putting a lot of baby spinach into it. So it's really, really, really nutritious. No, just change it here. So you've got this. I'll show it to you here. You can see what it is. Now, never keep your chapati dough rolled out. So because what it will do is dry. Almost, you can do 3 or 4 at a time, but don't just do it 2 hours before and decide you're going to get these fantastic chapati because you've left it be completely dried out. So the closest you can do is you can do the balls and keep it and then get to it. So you can see that. Now I'm going to turn the camera and focus on what this chapati needs to look. So let me go this side, guys. Yeah. So you can see I've got my pan on here. If there are any questions, what you need to let me know what they are. So my pan's quite hot, and let me just open my potatoes. So my potatoes are done, people, and hopefully yours should also be done. So I've put a little bit of water. You can see they're completely done. We will put lemon juice and we will taste it in a minute. So pan's heating up. Make sure your potatoes are nice and soft. Yeah. Then I am going to switch off my hob. I switched the wrong one off. So I switched the hob off, and once I've switched the hob off, I am going to put, I asked you for some lemon. I'm just going to put a squeeze of lemon on it. Yeah. So I'm going to put a squeeze of lemon in it, just a teeny squeeze, and fresh coriander. So reserve it. Yeah, it's come back. Okay. So fresh coriander. So I've just put some lemon for those of you who missed it, but you've got fresh coriander leaves. Keep some for the end. I'm going to put some fresh coriander leaves, about 2 tablespoons, and just mix that up. So that's the potato all done. Okay. So now what we'll do is I'm going to move this to the side, and I have now 2 hobs. So you should have 2 hobs in front of you. This is hot, so I'm not going to touch this anymore, but it's quite hot at the moment because it's been heated up. And then I've got the second one, which has got the fire, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So now we take, this is how somebody said soft chapatis, and this is a fail-safe way for, so you mustn't overcook it, please. You put it on, and I'm going to open the second hob up as well here. And I'm here, I'm just trying to get a plate.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got a fire on happening here. That's an open flame. You can have the second one on. I'll just keep this down. So you can see now when you put this, it will slowly.
Did you oil the pan? No.
No, I haven't oiled the pan. The pan is absolutely a dry pan. There's no oil involved with chapatis, guys. Okay. So you can see, and you can see there are already spots coming up. And while that's happening, I'm going to do another one because I just want to show you the second one. So you can see, now I've got asbestos hands, so I'm using it, but you can use a cloth and often just press it and wait till you get spots coming up. But this mustn't take too long. If you leave it on too long, I cannot repeat and emphasize enough, you're going to end up with completely, as they say, kadak roti. You don't get soft chapatis, but you can already see it's beginning to fluff up. The pan is quite, so if I leave it on, it will fluff up very easily here, and I'll probably do a second one to show you that how it's going to fluff up. But it literally, use a thing. Yeah. And then what I'll do is I'll show you what I'm doing on an open pan. You don't have to do that. You can leave it on and it will cook. But when it's fluffing, if I leave it on here, it will actually fluff quite nicely on its own. And this is not this is a wholemeal flour. It's actually very, very, as I said, it's healthy for you. I'm going to increase this heat to the second one. Yeah. Putting that on. Now I'm doing the same thing. I'm keeping it quite high. The reason I'm keeping it quite high is I don't want to put, a lot of thing onto it, but it's gradual heat. And you can see what's happening with this chapati. It's magically, absolutely puffing up. And if you find one end is not puffed, it'll have brown spots on it. You can drag it down if you want. Go the other side, brown spots on it, and you'll find it's puffed. And that is how your chapati, I'm going to make a second one, and so that's it. So that's what your chapati should be. Yeah?
Show close-up of the chapati.
Show the?
Close-up of the chapati.
I will show a close-up of the chapati, yeah. So we just show. Let's get some brown spots on it because you don't want the chapati to be not cooked inside. So you can do it on the second one, but if I leave it on the pan, and we'll make another one just on the pan for those who don't have an open flame, and I can show that. Yeah. Are we on Aga hot or are we on? So you can be on Aga hot. Yes, you could be on Aga hot. So that's the chapati. You can see it's done. Just try putting some butter on it and having it, guys. It's absolute bliss. But I'm going to make another one without the open flame for those who don't have an open flame. So I've just got that. I've turned this hob up. This is still on. So give me a minute. And I'm going to put this chapati here. We will put butter in it. But I'm just going to very quickly make a second dough. So I'm there. I'm sorry you're staring at a pan, but I'm here. If you've got any questions, you can ask. But very quickly, I'm going to just roll another one out. So you can see what just making it on that hot pan. But it's a dry pan. There's no oil involved in any of the stages. And if you find, again, if you find that you want to make it a bit luxurious, at that point, you can put some ghee on it or some butter on it on the pan and almost turn it like a paratha. It's not a full paratha because normally when you make a paratha needs to have a shortening or it needs to have fat inside inside the dough. So we haven't put, so this is just a dry one. But spinach, as I said, is a really, really nice one. So I'm just very quickly making a second one. Excuse the shape. One more turn on this one, and let's put this on. You can see it's such a hot pan. It's also, you've put the second one on it. And just leave it. It'll do its own thing. You can see the spots are coming on it. It's turning white. It will do its own thing. There's no.
Can you make these before cooking the rest of the meal, or will this different?
You could do, but there are two ways of doing it. It will never be as nice as fresh chapatis, but there is no problem. You can, but what you do in that case is get a container and line it with a nice towel, tea towel, and then put it all in there and then cover it. So you'll have soft, you put some butter and then just layer it like pancakes and put it on the, so you can all sit down to eat together and you can take it out. No problem at all.
But don't put them in the oven, they'll dry out.
No, do no oven, nothing. You've got to have them moist, so the steam needs to keep them. So they need to be wrapped up in a tea towel in a container. But can you see this is now fluffing up by itself? I've done nothing instead of talking. You see? So they will fluff up. Now at this point, I'd be tempted to put it on an open hob, but there's no problem. Leave it, it'll fluff. But only thing is, don't leave it forever, because if you leave it, I've increased the heat now, don't leave it forever, because if you do, it will turn into a poppadom. So it becomes really, really crisp. Just make sure it's cooked, that's all. And just press it down. Yeah, and these spots are there, so you'll see it's fluffing up. You've got these little spots, and you can see this one's so beautifully fluffing up now. I'm going to shut the heat off. Yeah, like magic. Right, could you open that door a little bit so we can get the smell out, because I'm not putting on the exhaust. Could you open that main door out, please? Yeah, so that's second chapati done. Right, I'm going to now switch that across, and then we'll put the whole meal together. So give me a minute. Let me now go on to the second one. There we go. Right, so the third element of this is raita, which is what you do in India. Do you have to turn it every few seconds? Yes, you can do it, but if you're, I would say give it about 2 turns in the middle. So don't just leave it there and just let one side cook and let the other one. And let me
because
just.
then the other side will overcook.
Other cook will overcook, and I'll just show you now. I'm just going to take this pan out and just show this to you. You can see this one's actually pretty much puffed up quite nicely on its own. And this is the point at which you put some butter and you put it on your plate. We will talk about that in a minute. So your chapatis are done, your potatoes are done. We are now going to have raita, because that's a nice side thing to have with it. Yeah, you can shut that we'll do if you want. Yeah. So what we'll do is we've got raita, which is what you have. And again, think about it in India. It's a simple dish. Most people don't have, meat. They don't eat all of that. So they're just eating the raita, and they are having chapati, and it's a perfectly balanced diet, because if you're putting vegetables in there, you've got your whole meat, which gives you protein. You've got spinach. You've got raita, which is yogurt. Am I off? No, I'm not off the camera. I've come back. You're 3 seconds too slow.
Yes.
So, okay, so now we are going to make raita, and all of you should actually have, I'll use the same bowl that I used for the potatoes. So all of you should have your grated cucumber. Now, raita can be made with anything. I'm showing you a very easy raita with grated cucumber, and the cucumber, I've left the peel on, and all I've done is just grated it, and the water's in there. A lot of people make raita and they squeeze it and they throw the water away, and I really don't understand the point of that. Why would you throw away the goodness of whatever little there is in a cucumber? So don't do that. I've got half a cucumber in here. Our family eats raita all the time, so you can put pretty much what you want. So I'm putting in half a cucumber. It's a bit like tzatziki, which is a bit that's what you do. So I put half a cucumber in there, and I told you, remember I said reserve a little bit of the tomato, so I'm putting that tomato in there. If you like raw onions, this is the time to put literally a tablespoon of very finely chopped raw onions, or even raw garlic, only just don't kiss anybody after that. So that's it's a good way to get stuff in. So okay, unless you're Dracula. So I've mixed those up, and then the spicing which we are going to do in that is our fabulous chili masala that I keep on talking about. So take a little bit of your chili masala and get a spoon, and I'm literally again putting half a teaspoon in there. So put half a teaspoon of the chili masala. And you need to put salt. And again, in India, traditionally, we put black salt, which is different from the black salt you get. It's volcanic, it smells of sulfur, sometimes it smells of rotten eggs, and some people think it's the worst thing you can put in. But I absolutely love it, and it's great for raita. But if you don't want to do that, and if you don't have access to it, panic not, just use normal salt, yeah? So if you've got normal salt, I'm putting some salt into it first, and I've got a little bit of coriander here, and I've got mint actually, so you can put coriander, you can put mint. So I've got a little bit of mint, just bung the mint in, and then give it a good mix. So it's literally a salad, yeah. And then this has got the water, the salt is letting the water come out, and I've got Greek yogurt here. So let's take the Greek yogurt, and I'm putting the Greek yogurt. And I've got about a cup, or a big large cup of Greek yogurt, and what the water will do is it will thin it, the water or the liquid from all of this, and just mix it up nicely. And that's your raita, literally done. If you're feeling give it a taste. If it needs salt, put some salt. If you're feeling very adventurous, what you can do is you can also put some Bombay mix into it, because it gives a little bit of crunch. And when I started cooking and I started telling people what to do, I realized the difference between us home chefs and about the professionals is they talk about texture, and they talk about layering, and they talk about all these things that we don't know about. And all that it is putting another element into it. So you've got the crunchy bit in it, you've got the cooling yogurt in it. But if you add something like a Bombay mix, if you add something like a Bombay mix to it, it just gives it that wonderful crunch. You can add pomegranate, you can add crispy onions. Somebody says Simon will be offering, that's salmon, so I'm not going to answer that. So that's our raita done. So now what we are going to do is we are going to put this wonderful meal together, and then I'll show you what it looks like. And then after that, what you can do is you can carry on with your chapati, and that's hopefully your dinner done. If you've got leftover chicken, or you got some chicken from Mandira's kitchen, then that's fine. I won't blame you for it. But that's your very easy winter dish. And whatever's left over is absolutely fabulous for lunch tomorrow. It's great for breakfast, and it's all sort of ready. So let's try and plate this meal up. So let me get a plate out. I'm quite chuffed because we've got some really nice plates here. So that's the chapati. Let me take the other one out just slightly. So I've got the chapati, and what I shall do is, if you've got some butter, you can put some butter. I've got a little bit of ghee in here, so I'm just going to spread it on that. whatever's left. Use the back of the spoon, and that's the ghee. But put the ghee when you're doing the chapati. So that's the chapati folded up there, and let's get our potato and let's get our raita out. One bowl here. And the nice thing is, again, you can serve this for it, because we eat with our eyes, and if you've got a nice dinner table set instead of sitting and eating in front of the television, it's quite nice because it's a simple meal, but it's all set. Everybody sat down. You can put extra things like poppadoms and stuff in the middle, so you've got that happening.
Chutney.
And then yes, chutney, of course, you can put chutney. The date and pineapple chutney or the date and tomato chutney that we have is absolutely fantastic with that. I'm going to now get a bowl for the potatoes. Hold on a minute, and let me just first decant some of the potatoes into the bowl that we've got. Dal is another nice thing you can just add to it. So the dal's got some liquid. The dal's really nice to add to it. Let me just clean the side of this dish here. So that's our potato dish. That's got there. Think about it. You've got chutney in there if you wanted to. A little bit of coriander on top of it. There's my second chapati. There you've got your chapati. So that's it. So you've got a nice dish. You can add on, if you've got more bowls, that's what we do, is you can add chutney to it, you can add dal to it, and that's actually a thali that is ready. Put that on the table. I guarantee no one's really going to miss not having a meat dish on the table. But you can actually add this, and as I said, you can use this tomorrow for turning it into a salad. You can add whatever you want. You can in fact add the two together and turn that into a salad. You can also add, as I said, turn it into a sandwich and have it for breakfast tomorrow. Put some spice chutney, and that's absolutely fabulous. Okay, and what else? Sorry guys, I didn't realize my phone was there, so I've come back. So yeah, that's all ready. Hopefully you've got your dinner sorted as well. You've just got to get another 20. There is no need for rice for this, absolutely not. So there is no need for rice. This is actually a dish. They call it a sabzi and roti. So this, you can have this with no rice. You can use naan if you don't want to make chapatis, but I thought it's a nice thing to show you. You can have naan, paratha, but this dry dish, which is like a stir fried, actually goes really, really well with your chapatis. So that's, I'll talk a little bit about the next session, but hopefully you found that easier to follow. You just now have to carry on. It does look very yummy, and it does taste very yummy. In fact, I'll taste it while I'm over here so you can see, and I'm not a very good actress, so I'm going to just try this and see. It is very, very nice. It's very fresh. It's lovely. You've got fresh chapatis with it. The raita is also good. So put it together. It's really nice. So you've got that. We're nearly running out of time. So if you've got any comments, put that on. Continue making your chapatis, guys, and that's your dinner done. Next week we are going to, just a few things. Next week we are using another spice mix, which is the onion bhaji mix, and we're going to be making proper pakoras out of it. We are also going to be making fish tikka. If you don't eat fish, use paneer, or you can even use any other vegetables or even chicken. It doesn't matter. So we are making a tikka and we are making pakoras. It goes really well with the drink and with your dinner. And if the list of ingredients are already up on the website, so make sure that you download that. If you need any gram flour or rice flour, give us a shout. We've got some because we thought that people might want some. So that's all ready. And pick it up or let us know. And if there's anything after that, if there's any other sessions you want to do, and if there are any particular dishes that you want to cook, just let us know and we'll try and arrange that. And what we'll try and do is make sure that we've got some of the non-specific ingredients that you might need. But the whole point of these sessions are, I don't know, my biggest excitement in lockdown up till now has been ordering new pajamas. So if you're like me and stuck, it's just a way to cook something different, way to cook dinner. And hopefully, we've got, I think, quite a lot of people have joined in. So hopefully we're all cooking our dinner and getting through lockdown together. So fabulous, guys. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time. And I have got my drink, so cheers. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe, and see you next Thursday. Bye. Yeah.